Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. I've got one of my little female Sumatran shorttails here to help me out. What we want to discuss is why investing in an animal like this that is a higher quality really pays dividends in the end. So we've done similar videos, but I wanted to do this more from an investment standpoint, where if you're investing in this animal, what are you getting in return for the extra money that you spend at the outset? Now, an animal like she just literally evacuated her bowels, as they tend to do right after shed, so she looks like there's nothing in her system right now. So this would be a good time if you were wanting to weigh this snake, to weigh it, because you would get a true weight right now. As soon as I feed her this weekend and going forward and she starts collecting stuff again, because of their metabolism, you won't get a true weight until she goes to the bathroom and empties it all out again. So anyhow, why would you invest in this animal? So this animal, for instance, if I were to sell her, I probably would have sold her for about $800. You can buy a baby Sumatran and probably pay $150 or $200 and get yourself an import. You don't know the lineage, you have no idea what it's going to finish at. So you might ask, well, why am I going to pay $550 more or $600 more up front, $500, $400, whatever it is? The truth is, when it comes to raising these snakes up, the cost is the same in the care and the heating and all the things that you have to do for that lesser quality animal versus the higher quality animal. You know, if they're of equal health, of equal size, age, whatever, raising them up is going to cost you the same amount of money. So we really don't even have to get into how much money that is, because ultimately it doesn't matter. It's going to be the same. Just like if you're into ball pythons, a normal ball python costs you just as much to house and feed as, you know, a 3-gene snake or a recessive gene in that group, unless there's a health issue associated with whatever you have. But cost-wise, to raise that animal, to feed it, to house it, everything is exactly the same. So the only difference is the initial investment. And so how does that pay dividends? Well, if you take her mother, for an instance, and I would have used her mother in this video, but she has an issue with her face right now. I actually just took her to the vet and the vet couldn't figure it out. Nothing too serious, I don't think, at this point. I think she just might have gotten something stuck when she was eating or something along those lines. She's on paper, but maybe something with the prey item, maybe something with her own tooth. She's got a little bit of swelling in her mouth. So we're just giving it some time right now and see what's going on. The vet was too nervous to culture her and too nervous to put her under to culture her because of their metabolism. She just didn't feel experienced enough, and I appreciated her honesty as opposed to just trying to get money out of me. That was a nice welcome change. But she's in perfect health otherwise, but I just didn't want to drag her out for a video right now. I did take a video the day that I found out something was going on with her, so that will be on the channel eventually. But that was like a week ago now. So anyhow, her mother is incognito. Incognito, I paid a decent amount of money for. Same thing for Tux and Sambuca, who I bought as a pair. So I have a little under $2,000 of initial investment for those 3 snakes, those Sumatran shorttails. Sambuca is a chrome female. You haven't seen her on the channel yet, but she's the mother to the chrome babies. She's a very nice chrome, really nice chrome. Tux is definitely a really nice darker male, but he's not like the absolute pinnacle. There are nicer. He's not quite incognito level, who is up there with the pinnacle of the nicest of the nice when you get into dark Sumatran shorttails. So my investment, we'll just call it $2,000 for an easy number in those 3 snakes. Obviously I have to house them, feed them, clean them. Low metabolism animals, they don't eat a whole lot. You know, Tux might eat 10 to 15 times a year. Incognito and Sambuca maybe 20, 25 times a year at most, really. Especially if they're breeding and they're taking, you know, I have them off of food for a couple of months. It's a couple of months they're not eating. So the cost is not crazy to feed them, especially if you have a decent source for quality feeders. Sumatran shorttails pretty readily take frozen thawed, so you can buy in bulk for a few months at a time, which also saves you money. You know, they're lower temperature species, so you're not paying a ton to heat them unless, you know, your house is super cold or something weird. In my case, because I use so much ambient heat and I have so many animals, I don't know the exact breakdown. My electric bill is anywhere from about $300 to $350 a month, and it's not me using that electricity. I live in candlelight. I don't turn the lights on for anything. I you know, do a load or two of laundry here and there, and I cook maybe 2 or 3 times a week at most. So I'm really not using a lot of electricity. It's mostly them. When I was in this house for a little while without snakes here, my electric bill was like $75 a month, and that was 2 people living here. So the majority of it is them, but obviously on an individual basis, it's not very costly. Now, when it comes to marketing the babies, that's where that investment really starts to pay dividends. Why are you getting so annoyed? It really starts to pay dividends when you're marketing the babies, because when these babies come out, they're not as dark and nice as they're going to be as adults. So your adults are going to be your selling point. Those really beautiful dark animals that you can show off and say, here's, you know, something similar that you can expect, because here's the grandparents of this animal, here's the parents of this animal. This line has, you know, proven that it produces very dark animals. So instead of you selling those babies now for $200, even with no real name, you're still going to easily be able to move those babies for $350, $400 plus. And if you really invested in some top quality animals, the lineage really sells them for you. It doesn't really take much with these. They're pretty sought after. Generally speaking, I didn't do a waiting list right now for the future because I just got sick of keeping track of all that stuff. But I used to have waiting lists like 2 years long for people that wanted to get their hands on this stuff. Excuse me, I got a bug on me. So they're not hard to market. They really market themselves when you have quality animals. So Incognito and Sambuca. Sambuca has had 3 clutches for me. Incognito has had 2. I acquired Tux and Sambuca, I believe, in 2014, and then Incognito I think I got the following year in 2015. So I've bred Incognito twice. She laid 14 eggs both times. She's a smaller female, so that was a pretty decent sized clutch for her. I keep my snakes lean as well, so 14 was good. I was happy. The first year incubating her eggs, I messed up, and I almost lost all the eggs, but I caught my mistake and I fixed it, and I was able to salvage 11 babies that year, and then the second year all 14 hatched. I've never had one of her babies fail to thrive. I've never had eating issues with them. I think the longest one held out was like 4 weeks one time after hatch. Most of her babies eat first or second time offered. Whatever you offer, they're just real easy. They all switch to frozen thawed right away. No complication there at all. Usually it's just show them frozen thawed and they take it. So great lineage, great health, great eaters. I mean, there's just nothing bad to say about it. So that alone is worth the investment, because the headaches I save, the hassles I save, is worth a lot. But so I ended up with 25, you know, viable offspring. I still have 5 of her offspring from those 2 pairings. I have 3 like this from this clutch, and then 2 from the prior, which is Voodoo Queen and Morticia, who you guys know, and you've seen her before, I think, in videos as well. So I have those 5 babies. Now, those babies vary in value. Morticia I would definitely not move for less than $800. Voodoo Queen I would not move for less than probably $750. This snake, as I mentioned, I'd probably do $800 on. The male I have from this clutch I would probably sell for about $650. And then the other female I have, I'd probably do $650 as well on her. So just right there, you know, that's several $1,000s. So my initial investment's already paid for, just in the holdbacks that I have. Not what those holdbacks produce in the future and how it keeps working down the line, but just right there I've paid for my investment back. Now, mind you, I said I had 5, I've produced 25, so I've sold 20 babies. I know I didn't sell any baby that came out of her, even to friends, for less than $300. And some of them I sold for more than twice that. So even if you just count it as $300, you know, 20 babies, that's significant money right there. That's $6 grand, but I've sold more. I've probably sold about $9,000 worth of babies out of her, 9 or 10 grand, just out of Incognito. That doesn't include Sambuca. So then Sambuca, I have had 3 clutches with. The first clutch she had with me was pretty small, because Sambuca is a larger Sumatran short-tailed female, certainly more so than Incognito. Her first clutch, I ended up with 13 eggs, 2 slugs, I believe, or 1 slug. Let's call it 2. of which 11 babies hatched. I had 2 eggs go bad during incubation. And then I lost 2 babies. That was my first Sumatran short-tail clutch. One I lost to dehydration. It had a water dish, it had water there. I just didn't realize how much some of them wouldn't seek out a water source even in a small space. And I just was an idiot and didn't notice until it was too late to save that animal. And then another one was born really super small and just didn't take off. So I had 9 babies from that clutch. I kept 2, who is Black Magic and Amina. I know Black Magic's been on the channel for sure. I don't know if Amina has yet or not, but I have those 2 from that clutch. And then her second clutch, she laid 20 good eggs, no slugs. 19 of those babies hatched. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those babies here. One has been on the channel before, the chrome male I used in one of the videos. I think the short tail complex video he was in. He's a baby from that clutch that I still have. So I kept 3 chromes and then 1 darker animal. And I actually sold one of the chromes and one of the darker animals and ended up getting them back. So that worked out well because I got them back for much less than I sold them for. So now I have them and I've made some money off of them as well. So those babies, generally speaking, the first clutch of Sambuca's babies, I decided to market really cheap to friends and people that I knew fairly well. So I sold a lot of those babies for like $150 just to get them into the hands of people that I knew were going to share them and were going to help me build my name in this new species at that time that I was breeding. So that was my marketing strategy, was, you know, undercut myself a little bit to people I know, not advertising to the general public really so much. And so I sold those animals for around $150. I think the most I sold one of those animals for, I had an initial holdback I let go of, which I let go of for maybe $400. But the vast majority of those babies I let go of fairly cheap. And it paid dividends. I helped build my name, build my brand, if you will. Got those animals out there, got people noticing. And then the following year, when I bred her again in 2016, I was really able to market well and move those babies very easily. And that year I also got some really nice chromes out of that clutch, which made it really easy to sell. So 19, I said I have 4 here, so I sold 15 of those babies because those all thrived fine. And I sold those ones probably for, you know, anywhere from $250 to $400. And then the last clutch she had with me, which was in 2019, I did give her a couple years off in between. She is an animal in her teens now, so I don't go crazy breeding her. But that 2019 clutch was again 20 good eggs, all 20 hatched. And then I really only kept 1, but I have 10 of them here right now just because of the shipping issues and not being able to ship. So, you know, they've all sold, and I sold those ones you know, for between $300 and $400 each, very easily. So when you do the math, you can see where, because I invested in those quality animals and spent maybe $1,000 extra up front, it paid dividends in thousands and thousands of dollars down the line. So the care amount has cost me the same figure, whether I had bought cheap imports or whether I had bought nice quality animals. And with cheap imports, there's some risk too, that you're dealing with parasites or you're dealing with health issues or the animals don't establish as well. Plus, when you buy from somebody that's just flipping animals like that, typically if something happens after a few weeks, it's going to be on you. It's not going to be on them. Whereas when you deal with a breeder, they may not guarantee the animal that long, but they'll probably work with you on replacing it, you know, or at least help you try to understand maybe where you did go wrong. So you have that value there too. So just keep that in mind when you're looking to make an investment. And you know, obviously I hope you're getting these animals because you enjoy these animals, but there's nothing wrong with necessarily wanting to look into the avenue of investing in them and seeing how they can pay dividends. You know, I have these $2,000 worth of snakes that I've sold, you know, probably something close to, I don't know, probably close to 20,000 worth of babies, plus I'm sitting on thousands of dollars in holdbacks. So it was an absolute home run. Not every project works out like that. So while you can hope for that and you can invest to put yourself in a better position, do understand sometimes maybe something's not going to breed for you. Maybe you're not going to have success. You know, sometimes these animals can pass away and we don't really understand why. There's a lot we don't know about these animals. So don't spend your rent money, you know, hoping that you're going to make it back. Make sure it's money you can afford to spend on an animal that, even if it never breeds for you, you're just going to enjoy. But I think just from an enjoyment standpoint, I'd much rather have a quality animal too. It's fun to show off. It's fun to take pictures. It's fun to share that, to see people enjoy those animals as much as you do. So that alone should be worth a little bit more of an investment. But just keep that in mind, especially if you are, you know, considering breeding and you are considering that, you know, you'd like to recoup some of the money you spend. These guys can be a good way to do it. And they are really rewarding snakes. They're great. I can hand this snake to anybody and not worry about her causing them any trouble. Even today, she's a little nervous outside and she's still fantastic. She's not doing anything that, you know, she wants to bite or anything like that. She's just, now I think she's a little more comfortable that we've been out here for a while. Her tongue flicks are, you know, happening more normally and she's moving around a little bit more. But when I first brought her out, she was definitely a little on the nervous side. Just cool snakes though. So I hope that people that get into these enjoy them as much as I do. Like I said, I don't like when people just get into them for the avenue of making money, especially because there's a lot of risk involved in it. So if you don't have the passion to sit there and go through the day-to-day, I don't think it's the right thing to do. But if you have a passion for the animals already and you are looking to invest in something, spend a little extra money up front and you will not regret it. You'll be very happy with your choice. The sun's going behind the clouds, so much nicer. I'm not a summer person. We will see you guys. I'm going to cut this short so it doesn't get too long. We will see you on Tuesday with that new segment that we debuted. And then we'll see you on Thursday with a new snake for you guys to meet. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting the T-Positive 007. Obviously, I've left him alone now and will do so for a while, but we'll get him on the channel again at some point when he's settled in and more himself. All right, we'll see you guys. Take care.